What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Crossover Commerce. This is my corner of the internet where I bring in the best and brightest in the Amazon and e-commerce industry. It's been a while since we've been on, but this is episode 176, as I mentioned earlier. But before we get started, just want to give a quick shout out to our presenting sponsor, PingPong Payments. PingPong Payments is helping people save more of their hard-earned money by saving when they send or receive payments. It can be anywhere from working with suppliers and manufacturers to VAs worldwide. As you're sending money, sending it in local currency has never been easier. In real time, instead of waiting for your money, you can get it to them quicker and more effectively, and saving on those fees, and then receiving money as your business grows and it becomes more omni-channel, becomes more international. You can receive different currencies and save on those conversion fees as well. So go ahead and sign up for PingPong Payments when you get a chance for free. Go ahead and mention Crossover Commerce, or you can do so by going to usa.pingpongx.com/podcast, and you can sign up through that as well. And that's where all of our content lives. Like I said, this is episode 176, where we go live on our social channels, but then the audio and video formats go and live on our website, so you can catch up on all the latest and greatest speakers, talks, and insights that we have available on that page. So much content going on, and so much has happened since we last got on this show. So without further ado, I just kind of wanted to hop on and mention to everyone, again, Crossover Commerce is a live podcast. If you're watching this on our social channels, you can ask your questions in the comment section wherever you are watching us, or if you're listening to us, you can obviously submit those questions via email. You can do that by sending an email to crossovercommerce@pingpongx.us. So without further ado, we actually named this episode, it was a little bit last week. There's been a lot happening last week, as I mentioned earlier in the intro. So much has happened in terms of announcements. There was an event that happened with lots of Amazon and e-commerce space. That was Amazon Powwow, and there's just a lot to cover. I know I personally have talked to different forums, different people about it. What we're going to be talking today is a little bit more of the automation channel, and we are going to discuss how Amazon sellers can set up automated business alerts. But not just that, how these alerts can effectively help your business grow in both the supply chain, logistics chain, in terms of order management, and also just in terms of following the seller code of conduct, making sure that you don't have anything that goes against your storefront or your brand or anything like that. So of course, I wanted to bring back a friend of the podcast who hasn't been back in quite a while, since the very beginning of our podcast. Wanted to bring on Henson Wu of FeedbackWhiz. So let me go ahead and bring him on here. Henson, welcome back to Crossover Commerce.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. It's been a while. I think I had you on, on my first 50 episodes. So since then, lots has happened, different look, different feel, but the content is still semi-changing. You guys have gone through a lot of changes too as well. And fresh off of this event that we talked about at the top of the show, Amazon Powwow, the voice is a little hoarse, you were saying pre-show, so we'll make sure we don't go into too much detail along-windedness with you. But again, I appreciate you hopping on early there on the West Coast. So how's it been since you last hopped on? Lots of things going on with FeedbackWhiz. What's been life and business like since then?
Yeah, everything's been great. Just this is like pretty much year 4 in this industry for us, and for me, myself too, and it's been quite a journey. It's been awesome. I really enjoy being in this e-commerce space, being in this software space, and just being able to meet, all the great people in this space, like you guys, and all the other providers and sellers, and just learning and, looking back and seeing how fast, Amazon progressed, in the last 8 years, and where they are now. And now it's like, things are kind of normalizing a little bit, I would say, but at the same time, it's always changing, right? And the world has changed greatly since COVID, and people are everyone's buying online now, and everyone's behaviors are different. So yeah, I would say it's been quite a ride, and everything's been great, and just happy to kind of be in this kind of time right now and enjoying everything that's going on.
Right. Lots of growth, lots of opportunity. I think lots of has happened. I would say since the last time we had initially spoke on this channel and obviously off channel as well, so many different things happened, right? In terms of business growth opportunities, there's accelerators, there's aggregators, there's different sort of operation in terms of Amazon's code of conduct. It seems to be updating once every year or more than that. There's lots of different tips and tricks. You're seeing the comings and goings of different tools, softwares, and things like that. And you guys have been pretty consistent, like you said, over the past 4 years, have been staying and helping people grow in that regards. So as this past year in 2021, and I saw the statistic, and I even posted 50 days till Christmas. Crazy that it's this close, yet somewhat far away. What's the remainder of the year looking like for you personally and the team? And then what's the forecast looking like maybe going into 22 that you're really excited about? Like you said, it's been somewhat consistent, but there's always these changes kind of going forward.
Yeah, as an organization for FeedbackWhiz, we've been constantly just developing new tools and software and solutions for Amazon sellers. And currently, there's not just Amazon, but the whole e-commerce channel is growing a lot. So other channels we see like Walmart, Shopify obviously is humongous. There's a lot of opportunity right now for sellers to, I'd say, expand their business. And even in international marketplaces, we've seen Amazon expand to, pretty much the Middle East, places like Japan, India. They're growing extremely fast. And, I think the world is starting to kind of adapt to this Amazon shopping model. And I think, over the next course of 5 years or so, it's probably going to pretty much take over like how everyone around the world shops. Yeah, for us, like I'd say like the year is kind of winding down, so things are, I'd say, slowing down a little bit, but at the same time it's actually moving faster because we're bringing on board a couple of new team players, really help us try to grow our business outside of within US and outside of US. And we want to try to do as many events as we can next year. And I know this year we kind of started off slow because it's COVID, and then we weren't sure how everything was going. But now we realized, man, there's such a huge population of sellers everywhere, and they're all happy to get out and meet people. And I just came back from the Powwow conference in Miami, which was awesome. I wasn't expecting such a large turnout, but it ended up being quite a surprise, and had a really good time. So.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's what a lot of people were uncertain in the beginning or the middle of the part of 2021, how that would impact. Events kept popping up left and right. And I had a call yesterday, and we were discussing, this is an agency in the Amazon and e-commerce space, and they said Q1 we're going to 24 different events. And I just like dropped my jaw and I said 24. Of course, that's attending, that's an exhibiting, every single one of those. But there's so much ramp up. It seems like there's going to be lots of networking, partnerships, lots coming through from the past 16 months, 18 months, whatever you want to call it, 20 months or so of maybe yes, we get together, maybe no, we don't. I think that whole slate of 2022 is going to be jam packed with lots of people interacting and growing. Is that the easiest way for a company like in a software space? Like I previously was at a software company. Is that the easiest way to have those conversations with people is face to face, or is it more of like that virtual interactions where you can show people? How do you like the different factors in that regards? I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, in this space, it's kind of difficult, because I mean, you're basically trying to target e-commerce sellers, and it's not easy, right? Because they can live anywhere, they could be anywhere, and you kind of have to just do a little bit of everything in terms of marketing, outreach, different channels. And going to events is definitely one of the biggest, I would say, the biggest avenues to not just meet potential clients and sellers, but really to network within people within the industry, right? So like most of these big events have a lot of all-star influencers that have a lot of reputation in this world. And just being able to make that connection with them is pretty invaluable, and yeah, even when we started, we started back in 2017, and nobody knew about us, and we started. Our first event was a Prosper Show in Las Vegas, and just going to that event really just built up our brand reputation. People didn't know who we are, but once we went there, it kind of gives you a little bit of street cred that hey, these guys exhibit, they have a team, they have a good software, right? And then from there, it's really just building up your client base, and then word of mouth. If you develop something great, if you have a great tool, great service, people will recommend your tool. And going to Powell and even going to all the events this year, and it's really awesome because it's not for us. It's like, yeah, we have a pretty good share of the market in terms of the software we do, and just being able to meet our customers, face to face. You don't see them, you don't know who they are, and them giving you feedback and just hearing like all the great things that we've done for them, help them grow, and it's just really it's like really heartwarming. It's like, wow, it's a great accomplishment, I would say. So
Absolutely.
it's pretty awesome.
Being in the service side of the industry, as you know, in either software or service or any across the board, I think that's one of the most reassuring things is that you're doing a good job, but you're going to continue to push and help other people be successful, which is really neat. I always toy with the notion of if you're not at events, do people think that you're a legitimate individual, thought leader, or business? But on the flip side, if you're just busy enough and life doesn't allow for you to escape, is there that balance that you find you and your team that you have to balance? You can't be at everything, but which ones do you pick and choose to be at to be most impact for either? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, you need balance in life, just gotta do a little bit of everything, just you gotta talk with people, you gotta network, sometimes you gotta focus on data, right? Data is very important. A lot of things are data driven. Sometimes events might not be the best ROI for people, even for attendees or for exhibitors, but the factor that you can go out there and it's kind of like a mini vacation at the same time as work, but you can network with people, and networking can bring you greater returns in the long run that you might not be able to see right in front of you, but meeting someone today, they could help you down the line in 2 years. You never know, right? So
Absolutely.
I truly believe life is really just about networking, meeting great people, and being able to kind of flourish that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love telling the story, and I think it's a funny joke. You're the one person of the 176 episodes I've had on this. I've truly only met one person in real life, and that believe it or not, is you.
No way. Are you serious?
I promise you, it's not a joke. I wish I was joking, and I feel like I know a lot more people without touching or feeling or handshaking or anything like that. Believe it or not, all the things that we've done, the networking that we've done, I said we, myself, and our company, it's all done virtually. So it's kind of one of those funny things that I say story wise. But look out 2022. Hopefully that's when a lot of people are going to be. Surprisingly meet me hopefully in person. So that's something I always like joke about. I've only had one guest that I've met in person.
That is so funny. Wow.
Was
Yeah, they gotta,
prior.
man, I gotta tell PingPong to get you out of there.
They try,
Luckily,
man. They're constantly asking me, "Do you want to go here? Do you want to go here?" And I said, "Let's just start fresh in 2022. Not for any other reason, but just it's hard to plan." And that's the thing too. And I believe it. Rob Stanley's watching, former employee of FeedbackWhiz and friend of both of ours. He said meet up in San Francisco in December. I have no idea what he means, but at some point in December, I'm already thinking that's 3 weeks away. That's so hard to plan with the family and friends. I guess my other question, I know this is really event focused for a lot of people, but I think this is really important to talk about because you've been in the industry a long time. You have a service, but you also have a software. How do you do that balance of at a moment's notice where lots of people, whether it be their own businesses, they'd be selling on Amazon or a software, and at a moment's notice, you're like, yep, I'm going to be there and I'm going to book a flight. I'm going to go to this event, maybe spend a couple days, maybe a week or more away from family. How do you do that juggling and balance? Is that something you found successful, or is that something you continuously have to work at, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard in the beginning because it's hard to plan and kind of figure out like, how much time can I take off work? Because a lot of time you go to these events, like, you missed out on the work related stuff, right? So I'd say planning and scheduling is very important, and being kind of ahead of, um, you know, doing research ahead of time, right? So most of these events that we look into, like, we're probably like at least 2 months out early, right? Just making sure that we got all the logistics set up, making sure, like, we block off our calendar, and we have, set up, partnerships and things like that. So planning, I would say, is the biggest thing, just staying ahead. And of course, having family is tough, right? Because you have kids, they go to school, and I don't know, like, other people's situations, sometimes you might have to find a nanny and things like that. So yeah, I guess there's not much really you could do. Just, if you have to go somewhere, you have to go somewhere, right? It's for work. And I just say you just have to plan early, and then get everything in place. And then once it's planned, then you just go with the schedule, just like everything else.
Yeah, and there's not, yeah, there could be flexibility, but there's also those consistencies doing that moving forward. It's always important to be planning and talking with, and continuing to know when people are going to be at places, so you can schedule around and optimizing schedules. Speaking of planning, I'm going to go ahead and segue into our conversation. Look at me, I'm a great host over here. I like to segue into our topic: how Amazon sellers can set up automated or scheduled out business alerts in that regard. So if something happens in this regards, I can't be everywhere I was, right? I'm not going to have my seller central dashboard up all the time. I can't be refreshing at a moment's notice. I have so many things on my plate if I'm a seller. There's so many different tools out there that maybe help with this, but they don't have the insights that you guys have. And I've not seen the updates that FeedbackWhiz has done before. But why is this important to be talking about setting up automated alerts when at a moment's notice something either good or bad can happen? Why was that super important for you to build that into your tool set?
Yeah, so when we first launched FeedbackWhiz, we actually did have some of these notification alerts, and one of the things that we really wanted to do is to help Amazon sellers improve their brand reputation. So outside of email automation for reviews, we created a pretty sophisticated system to basically capture events that happen for your business. And we started off with seller feedback and product reviews, and those are pretty much the two biggest things for your business. Is really that basically gives you the baseline of how well your business is doing in a reputation level. And product reviews are more important than anything else, right? That pretty much gives 90% decision whether or not someone should buy your product or not. So setting up alerts on our system, like product reviews, we decided to really focus on that when we first launched FeedbackWhiz. It really was, how fast can we get these product review alerts to the customer, right? Like, when someone writes a review, it takes a while. Like, Amazon doesn't offer product review alerts. They don't tell you when someone writes a product review. It's something that you have to pretty much go on your own listing page and then look it up and see if someone wrote your review. And as you expand in this space, you might have, tens and hundreds of products. There's no way that you could go there every day and start looking for reviews. So we decided to build a platform just to capture these reviews, and then help sellers manage the reviews itself by, identifying commonly used keywords, being able to search and filter for different ratings, what people are telling them. I mean, even when we first launched in 2018, some of the legacy users we used to have buyer review matching. So we used to be able to identify who wrote the review, tie it back to the order, and then you can automate emails to them. But that's all long gone. That was a long time ago. Amazon,
The good old days.
Amazon doesn't like that kind of stuff. They've been constantly just kind of cracking down on some of the things that are kind of favoring sellers, or manipulating things. And so we had to adapt, right? So we do everything we can to make sure that we adhere to all of Amazon's developer policies, communication policies. And that's really the way to go, because, having, like, crazy black hat tools and stuff like that, it's great. It might help you boost your business in the short term, but in the long term, it could really hit you. And if, you get your store taken down or something like that, or you violate, you can lose your entire business overnight, just like some of these Chinese sellers that were trying to manipulate ranking and manipulate reviews, right? It's just, it's not good business practice, right?
Mhm.
So come 2021, we are right now we just launched a very sophisticated alert system, and what this really does is that any data Amazon metrics that gets pulled from the API, we give you the ability to set these alerts, whether it's product reviews, seller feedback, hijacker, buy box, title change, anything regarding um, your listing, your product reviews. But these kind of tools have been around for a while. And we have all of them. A lot of other tools have them. But what we've done is now we not just taken these product reviews and listing tools, but we've also now taken profits, revenues, costs like order manager, units, repeat buyers, all these different types of metrics that you should be tracking, and then also giving you the ability to set up alerts for them, and not just like alerts of if this happened, right? But we give you the ability to set thresholds on when you want it to happen, like how you want to get alerted, right? So some of the examples might be like, we have a profits tool that displays everything like gross margin, net profit, costs, and stuff like that. So you can now go in and set your own threshold on a specific ASIN and say, when my gross revenue drops for my blue T-shirt by 20%, send me an alert, and not just send me alert, but you can send it to my U.S. business team, right, or my U.S. marketing team, right. So we give you a lot of flexibility within our platform now to basically set up customized alerts for specific groups of ASINs, and then being able to allocate these alerts to different groups within your organization. And yeah, this is awesome because I don't think anyone else has anything like this. And from here, we're just really trying to develop more of these alerts, and not just um, business alerts, but mostly you can tie different types of alerts together, right? So event A happens and event B happens, send me alert, right? And then being able to track when these alerts happen, and then trying to correlate how these affect my sales, my growth, so yeah, it's really exciting to be able to introduce this product to the Amazon world.
Well, I think that that's needed on a couple different levels. You mentioned if you have a team, if it's not just you and the person doesn't have eyes on it all the time, if they're PPC spend, or if it's an inventory company you're working with, or some sort of outside entity, if that automation can trigger some sort of action, whether it's email, notification, whatever that tool or trigger is, very impactful, because at a moment's notice, if, like you said, your listing's hijacked, you go below a certain inventory threshold, or if you get inventory in, again, that on the positive side, hopefully a lot of people are getting inventory in now. Once you get that, you can start to scale up PPC campaigns. You can start to full throttle a lot of your marketing campaigns. I think a lot of those triggers, a lot of people have to manually do, and that wastes a lot of time and money and effort. Is that ultimately what you're trying to do, is like get more things done quicker, or get things resolved quicker in that regard, instead of letting it linger, maybe costing tens of thousands of dollars on a given, depending on what that issue might be?
Yeah, absolutely, and exactly. You nailed the point. It's really like it's kind of like playing defense in a way, right? Like some of these alerts can really help grow your business, but a lot of times these alerts will help you prevent you from losing business, right? So like things like inventory stockouts, right? If your inventory runs low, I know Amazon has some of these alerts, but in general, like in this case, like you want to know when you need to reorder, right? Or you get a bunch of negative product reviews coming in for a certain product, and everyone's telling you the same thing, right? The same keywords are saying that maybe I'm getting the wrong item, right? Or even for order returns, right? There's order return reasons that Amazon basically tells the sellers, like there's a reason why they return the order. And a lot of times sellers get a return, and the reason is product not as described, right? And why is that not as described? Sometimes there could be a hiccup in sending in the product. Maybe they send in a bad batch or wrong batch. These are alerts where you need to get these alerts pretty much immediately to fix the problem. Otherwise, you could lose a lot of money. Your listing could be suppressed, right? You could be losing sales. So I think it's a valuable tool. Pretty much any Amazon seller that has, more than a couple products definitely should have some kind of, alert system monitoring set up. Um, and the cost of it is extremely affordable. For you to hire a dedicated person just to kind of monitor your business and stuff like that, it's not really worth it, right? That person should be the one that's reacting to these events that happen, right? They should be, you should have a software, tells you when things happen, and then that person can basically figure out what to do next. And that's really why we, really focus on this part of this the system.
Absolutely. Well, there's things that instantly come to mind in terms of how you can effectively handle and manage these sort of events. I know one thing that comes to mind initially is how does this really impact and help with my order management system, whether it be inventory levels or reorder, triggers or anything of that sort. How does this really help me both forecast when I need to reorder inventory, whether it be like short term or for the next 6 months or whatever that might be? How do these alerts really affect and help offset these issues that seller might have on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, the version that we have right now doesn't have the inventory forecasting, and inventory forecasting is a tool that we'll be releasing in 2022 next year. And we've actually developed something huge, and I'll probably jump on another podcast and talk about that. And it's awesome.
What a tease.
Yeah, so I don't want to get too much into that, but definitely for inventory is a huge part of it. Not just being able to get alerts from stockouts or low inventory, but getting alerts to send for new orders, right? Like being able to know when I need to reorder, or my part of my product or manufacturing is running low, running slow, right? My inventory is stranded in the port of LA, right? These kind of alerts can help you, kind of make the next move on how to like kind of adjust. If I'm not going to get my product in time for Christmas, I need to know that early, right? I need to know that, weeks, months, way before, right? So if you're just constantly manually checking, or sometimes even Amazon inventory alerts are not just kind of first order, they don't really tell you much besides of what kind of data that they have in their system. But if you have other data like your supplier information, they send you emails or updates, like that kind of data can be used to set up, additional alerts to really help you forecast, much more accurately.
Gotcha. Well, the tease is real. And again, I think that's the biggest issue a lot of people are trying to understand of the sooner you know those things, the quicker you can respond as an entrepreneur, making those difficult decisions or go to plan B or C in terms of making sure your inventory levels are going to be great. A lot of people are even talking about suppressing listings so they don't run out of inventory, turning down their PPC strategy so they don't run out in Q4, just for the fact until they reach that restock availability, whether their goods are waiting and getting to warehouse, or you can flip on FBM. All those things are really important because, as you know, and most of the listeners know too, once your listing runs out of inventory or gets low, Amazon will naturally start suppressing that listing, or they'll just torpedo it to the bottom, and that rank strategy that you have in place will just be more costly to get you to the back of where it was before you ran out of inventory. So I can imagine that that's a super big thing. Lots of sellers that are using your tools are going to be really wanting in the future. What about, I guess, shifting focus to something that you do have? What about reviews in terms of monitoring, right? You mentioned back in the days you could reply back to people. And I think recently Amazon is now allowing you to respond back, or at least engage with at some capacity, whether limited or full on, at a 1 to 3 star review. Is that correct? Like what's the update on that? If I was
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Amazon kind of opened it up for people that have like brand analytics to basically contact people who've written you a review, and I guess they give you opportunity now to remove the review, right, or at least give you contact to them, and which is pretty I guess kind of surprising because the years back they were doing everything they can to try to prevent the communication between the reviewer and the seller, right? And now for brand analytics, I guess there's probably been a lot of feedback from brand sellers saying that, hey, if we can't communicate with the people that review our products, it doesn't give them a chance to have a voice on responding to like what the problem is, right? And I think it's probably a good move by Amazon to kind of you know not be so strict about it. So but unfortunately, if you don't have brand analytics, there's still no way to know who wrote your review. But FeedbackWhiz platform, I think at some point the API will open up for brand analytics. So, third-party software developers like us will be able to get access to that kind of data, and then, we could develop tools around that. But as of right now, if you're just selling on Amazon without brand analytics, you don't really have much insight on the reviews coming in. So our tool basically will pull in all the reviews pretty much in real time, as posted on Amazon, and you have the ability to basically manage all those reviews on one page, right? So if you have 200 products, you could see all the reviews come in for all 200 products. You don't have to scroll through 200 product pages on Amazon and try to read them all. It's really a pain, and then we also have keywords that help you identify what are the most commonly used terms, right, in a specific time period. So let's say you want to pull in reviews in the last week, right? And then you could see exactly what are people saying about your reviews. What are the commonly used phrases, is it defective? Is it awesome? Is it great? Just getting that kind of insight early on will really help improve your product, right? Not just improve your product, but if there's any problems with the product, you probably pretty much want to know about it right away. So I'd say that's pretty much the biggest advantages right now of just reading reviews. It's kind of to get the real-time gauge of what people think about your product.
Absolutely. I have a question, and I'm curious if you have any insight on this with the review ecosystem. When you go to a product page and you're reviewing everything, a lot of it can be relevant and thumbed up, or I find this helpful in those regards. I also see that as potentially a negative thing, right? For whether it be a tactic of a competition or anything like that. Not that we're supporting any tactics, but how do you get rid of either bad actors who are upvoting negative feedback? For example, if a product doesn't work this way and you fix that problem and they are upticking that or suppressing good reviews when there's other reviews that are maybe not so favorable to your brand, is there a way to either as a brand manager have a hand in which ones are being featured on Amazon's platform, or is that strictly just on their side? What's the most quote unquote relevant, or are they pulling up based upon keywords? What's that kind of background on what's appearing on your product pages?
Yeah, I wish I knew the answer to that. I mean, that's a black box within Amazon, right? Their
Right.
algorithms currently always changing, and how they handle that. It's pretty obvious that they have all that data and information. It's just not so obvious on why some of the listings and why some products get hit, some don't, right? It's a consistency thing with Amazon that they're trying to improve over time, and they've definitely got better over the years. And I know there's been a lot of these rank or not rank, but product review manipulation, like you said, like upvoting bad reviews. So when people first go onto your product review page, they only see the bad reviews, even though you have like a 4.7-star rating or something, right? I'd say the only thing you can really do is having a monitoring tool will kind of give you like some insights on how fast these things are coming in, right? So when there's anomalies, like suddenly you get like 50 positive reviews, right, for no reason, you can report these kind of events to Amazon, right? You can say, hey, by the way, I noticed there's been a very weird trend that's not normal, right? Like suddenly someone's upvoting like all the bad reviews up. Just reporting to Amazon will kind of give, there's a ticket in their system, like a flag, right? And whether or not they decide to investigate or do something about it, that's something that no one can control, but at least you're taking some kind of action, right? And if you don't take any action, then most likely, unless Amazon is their algorithm starts detecting things, and which they've actually improved a lot in the last few years, it gives you a better chance to kind of combat some of these bad practices.
Right. There should be a predictive velocity at which you, as a seller, can receiving consistent reviews or ratings. So I'm assuming if there's any sort of fluctuation or fluttering, just like in ranking a product on any sort of level, they're gonna monitor those things, and they have data and alerts and things like that. So if it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's still gonna put a flag in this and say, why is there already so many good reviews as opposed to what's traditionally happening in the past? Is that something that you've seen brands have to combat, of they're receiving too many good reviews, that it's either suppressed their listing or it's had Amazon take a deeper look at why all of a sudden that's happening?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that before. Some of these competitors, what they'll do is they'll try to post a whole bunch of positive reviews, a lot of times unverified, and that used to trigger that listing getting taken down, and that was kind of one of the the tactics that they did to take down a competitor listings, especially with the newer listings, right? Um, but I think Amazon's getting smarter about that. They have so much data on like where the reviews coming from, who's writing it, which account, and they can easily identify and figure out whether or not it's a competitor doing it or is it you doing it. But it's a headache, right? Just having to deal with things like that. That shouldn't be part of running a business on Amazon, right? And I really hope that in the future Amazon, can put in just more detection and algorithms to help prevent some of these bad actors. But I mean, it is what it is, right? This is a $1 trillion market, and everyone's competing for that small real estate, that page one, and they'll do whatever they can to try to, prevent any new competitors coming in or making a dent in their sales. So, as you can see, like Amazon's really progressing like over the years, right? They're trying to kind of tone down on all the different tactics that sellers are doing, whether it's trying to rank or keywords and all those, even with the communication with reviews last year, right? Like they came out with a whole guideline on making sure that you're not incentivizing people to write reviews. You're not giving them free stuff or trying to direct them to contact you if there's a negative issue or negative problem. They really want the experience to be genuine, right? If you had a bad experience, you had a bad experience, write about it. Don't try to cover it up by giving them something and making it seem like everything's great, but it's it might not be. So
Well, that leads me to probably a final point of the episode, if you will, is we alluded to the top of the show. There was a lot of buzz about these updates. You mentioned updates regarding reviews and incentivizations. That was actually posted and officially part of the seller code of conduct, in terms of what's bad, what's not, what's acceptable, what is part of day to day. What can sellers expect? There was a forum. It's a open forum on the Seller Central side of things, where it was from a moderator that opened up the floor plan and said, based upon the series of events, this is why a lot of people took this a little bit more serious than maybe some other things. Of the series of events where you had FCC regulations coming out against businesses, you had this notification of a software tool service that said for ranking manipulation, or however you want to do it, rebates and ranking was their forte in rebates, in terms of they were no longer going to be a part of the ecosystem, Amazon ecosystem, I think as the 16th or 17th of November this month. And then you had the notification and forum post of, this is what ranking manipulation is deemed by us in terms of rebates, coupons, anything like that. It has to all be done in Amazon's ecosystem. You can't be incentivized outside. Shook the e-commerce world in terms of, or the Amazon world, I should say, in terms of super vague still not part of the seller code of conduct. Is this something coming from Amazon? Is this a moderator's point of view? What isn't a part of it? Is there any insight that you guys have received as a part of going through this entire process of being notified by Amazon as, hey, this is no longer acceptable. This is not going to, if people use your tools, no longer going to be a case. That person will get suspended or you'll be removed from Amazon's storefront. Is this up Amazon's alley of consistent behavior, or is this something new that you guys have seen moving, that you've experienced on your end?
Yeah, great. It's a great question. I think it's when you hear stories like this, it really just scares pretty much all the developers on Amazon, right? It's like they have so much control over your business, and in the click of a button, they could shut you down, right? Just by for whatever reason it is, right? Traditionally, I'd say in the past, like in 2018, we used to have the buyer review matching tool, which was basically we take a code from the review side of the page, and then we would match that code with the order side of when the order is placed. We put those two pieces of code together, and then we can basically say, all right, 100%, this is the person that wrote the review, right? And then from there, you can automate the communication on, hey, someone wrote you a bad review. Can you please remove the review, and we'll give you a free item, right? That's very common. Like that was before Amazon was regulating anything. They caught on very quickly with that feature. And back then, yeah, we had I think, I don't know about everybody else, but having some, I guess, people within the organization that work with you, within the team, is very helpful, because you can kind of you can pass them questions and along and ask like, hey, is this something that is okay? But back then, yeah, they reached out to us and basically said that, hey, we don't want you guys doing this anymore, and they can kind of give you a timeline to say like, you need to stop this by a certain amount of time, otherwise, there's consequences. And obviously, everybody knows what the consequences are. And this was actually before the App Store came out, so they weren't as strict. But I'd say now, because there's so many Amazon apps now, the App Store is humongous, right? It's like growing exponentially with all these service providers. I'm not sure if the communication, if they have the bandwidth to kind of manage and talk to every single third-party developer, And some of these new restrictions, even last year with the communication policies, like we had no insight or warning. Like when it happened, it just boom, they post it and this is it, right? We'll give you a time where you have like 3 months to fix everything, and this is what we're going to do. But in this subject, with the rebates and rank manipulation, I think this is something that is kind of pretty much, everybody knew about this like years ago, that it's not really black hat, but it's kind of in between, right? It's kind of iffy. Like, it's giving them a rebate, and then giving the ability to kind of go to a URL to kind of boost the page, right? Boost the sale, to make the sale look like it's a genuine sell. That's always kind of been in that gray zone of rank manipulation, right? And I think the parties that offered some of these services, they knew about it, right? But Amazon never regulated, and now they are, because they're probably under political pressure or whatever it is, that to kind of say something about it. And I know that Amazon, if there was no pressure on their side, they probably wouldn't care either, because it's good for Amazon's business, right? If sellers are doing well, Amazon's doing well, right? But I think at this point, they probably don't have much of a choice, so they have to kind of enforce some of these rules. And to answer your question with the moderator, yeah, I would say that's probably a precursor to what Amazon will probably make an announcement very soon, because if someone within the Amazon organization is posting something so detailed, right, and then some of these apps are getting actually shut down, that basically tells you like they are internally changing, right? They are making a change. Maybe they haven't finalized all the wording and stuff, but most likely, I would say probably coming pretty soon. Look inside Seller Central under the news, you'll probably see some kind of there probably will be a post detailing some of these new practices regarding rebates and links and URLs and stuff like that. So but yeah, it's scary. It's like you don't know when they're gonna announce something. So I mean, my advice for other companies and even ourselves is like, stay far away from anything that is even remotely like gray hat. It's not worth it, right? Just try to develop things that are useful for sellers, but not in a way that violates any of Amazon's, policies.
Exactly. Well, and initially, I think there was a fear that this was just an example to be made of, and almost a scare, not a scare tactic. Again, Amazon does this for a reason. And if you look at the series of events, you can probably match them all up, and a lot of people agree with that. Of this is not coming out of nowhere. It happens almost every Q4, around Q3, Q4, where they do some sort of shakeup in terms of policy. I think trying to protect. I like the ability to protect again reviews. I think that's a wholly sacred area to give honest feedback of people who actually bought the product, and manipulating that is actually falsifying how good or bad a product is. That makes sense to me. With ranking a product, with it being brand new, it's almost very difficult to understand why Amazon would come in from this way. Again, you don't want a notion of, oh, it's going to be at the top of page one in their algorithm. It'll naturally resettle itself. And again, giveaways were traditional in the past. Coupons are fine on Amazon because you can still offer them in Seller Central account. Rebates are a very common practice across the board. I think there's those additional benefits those outlying benefits of doing practices is what they don't like of, hey, we can get you great sales with the additional benefit of it looking like people are finding your product. And again, that's a very difficult concept because if you're launching a new product, there's no history or track record. How are you supposed to drive people to a new product besides PPC and things like that when there's no review history, there's no sales history? What are the ways that Amazon expects or wants you to operate moving forward? So I think a lot of people want to understand, hey, this is the way that Amazon maybe should, or you should drive traffic to your listing, whether it be externalized traffic or social media. You have your own ambassador system or people really want to purchase. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what way in which Amazon feels it's appropriate to send traffic to your listing so that people can find it, to grow on Amazon, to make more sales so that they get more business and you get more business.
Yeah.
It's really confusing in this regards. And again, nothing has officially been changed in the seller code of conduct from as of this podcast episode, as of the 5th of November at almost 1:50 Eastern time. Nothing has changed officially, but a lot of people are speculating in that regards too. So in the software world, people are scrambling. They're trying to figure out, we don't want to get in trouble in that regards too. So that's where we want to make sure it's not official. It's a speculative. It's an Amazon employee officially. It's not officially in the terms of service or seller code of conduct.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, I do see this is just a precursor of like a more official change, right? I mean, it's possible that Amazon is building their own internal rebate system or something, right? Maybe they will allow rebates, but they want to control it, right? They want to make sure that it's fair for everybody, and I think that's really what it is they want to create a fair platform for everybody, like around, not just having, certain tactics that some sellers can do and some tactics other can't do. If they can control, the ranking, the rebates and stuff, that probably makes the most sense. I'm thinking that's probably what they're trying to do, but I don't know, right? It's like it takes time.
I mean, we wouldn't be surprised if you saw an internalized rebate system of if you want to do giveaways or anything like that. It's all in Amazon's ecosystem. Probably wouldn't be surprised if that came down the pipeline. Who knows what's going to happen? And I think that's how do softwares help in that regards of helping people take data. Again, we saw this with just keyword research data, right? Of Amazon released this new tool that's going to help people in terms of 90-day history, keyword research. Really cool and really functional and really helpful. I think there would be more to that. I think a lot more people would be a little bit less peeved off right now of what are we supposed to do? Like, this is head jerking and knee reaction, and it's gray for a reason, but how are we supposed to operate? And the fear is like it's going to start pushing people away to different platforms. But again, I guess in the minimum amount of time that we have left, Henson, what's the is this something that makes you think about how to diversify not just on Amazon, or having the solution that helps across different selling channels like a Walmart or an Etsy or a different marketplace platform? Is this Does this make you think about how do we help other sellers grow as well?
Yeah, definitely. We are definitely expanding our tool to other platforms, and as we see that this space is, as you can see, everything that's going on is kind of hurting the smaller sellers, the ones that are just trying to sell on Amazon, right? It's harder and harder for them to kind of climb up and make an impact, right? And in the long term, I truly believe, even with all all this money coming in for these brand aggregators buying all these brands, it's probably going to be a smaller group of entities or sellers or companies that are pretty much selling most of the volume Amazon. And these are the long-term players, right? And they're not going to just be selling on Amazon. They're going to be selling, like you said, on other websites, like their own website, Shopify, Walmart, Etsy, Target. This channel is just growing like crazy, right? Everyone's behavior now is like we don't really go out and buy stuff in the store anymore. We just sit in front of your computer, click a button, it comes to my door, right? So yeah, I think it's I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years, but I would say that yeah, definitely e-commerce is going to expand. Amazon's going to get better with their own internal tools, right? I could see in the last couple of years they've put so much effort in development on their tool side, right? Which is kind of competing with the third-party apps, right? But at the same time, they have an app store that has hundreds and hundreds of providers, and they need the providers too, right? So they have to create a good balance between what kind of tools they offer and then how far they go with those tools, right? If they go too far, they're gonna hurt a lot of the providers, which will also hurt them. Well, if you don't have us, then we're one of the biggest I guess resources for growing their seller base, right? Without us, like people don't really
brand advocates and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's got to be a good balance, right? They have to provide a good platform, make it fair, provide the necessary tools for like just basic, whether it's reviews, whether it's emails, whether it's keywords, but don't go too far, right? Let the developers figure out like how can we make it better, right? We can create like a management system, we can create a better platform, things like the alert system, right? I think having the ability to customize thresholds and put together different data points, like that's something that would be very helpful. But I don't think Amazon's best interest is to go crazy and develop all these different parts within there, right? So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
we'll see.
It's hard to say.
It's the beauty of being in the space, but it's also a headache and it has a pain in your stomach every day you wake up. What else could happen?
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. Well, I know we're at the top of the hour. I want to go ahead and wrap up. What about just in the remaining couple of minutes? Is there anything that you're seeing with Q4 that's either both exciting or shocking or maybe scary that across the board doesn't have to be within FeedbackWhiz? Is there any data that you're seeing that might be of concern or excitement personally across e-commerce or Amazon?
That's a good question. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I haven't dug that deep into the data recently, especially for Q4. But definitely noticed there's there's a lot of activity still in selling. There's with the inventory issues and people trying to get their products out. I think there's just a flood of money out there right now. There's just incredible amounts of cash people have willing to spend, buy everything, so it's good for sellers. People are opening up their wallets and buying, right? They're buying everything left and right. Look at the crypto market, NFTs, like holiday season gifts, like just it's great. If you have products selling on Amazon right now, I'm sure you're going to do very well this Christmas season. It's not like any year we've ever seen. So,
still growth happening. Yeah, I know a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people in Q3 they saw somewhat of a back off of growth, but there's a lot of data and outside resource, a lot of outside pointing you can see of people are traveling, people are trying to get out of their house more. Of course, it's not going to be that sustainable 20% growth month over month, year over year, quarter over quarter. It's going to naturally resettle, grow in its traditional pace. The growth is growth. It's still harder to play in this regards, but people are still finding ways to still optimize, still grow, still take advantage of the need. Again, Amazon's 40% of a 10 to 15% market of all of retail purchasing. So to think about that special area and that small pie of the bigger picture pie, there's lots more opportunity in that growth. So it's exciting to see what the rest of this year will hold. The data hopefully continuing to show growth in this regards, and we'll see where more money gets pulled into. But a lot of things we covered today. So thanks for hopping on, giving your insights, and coming back as a friend of Crossover Commerce. We appreciate the time, the insight, and the forecasting or the future telling, if you will. But thanks again, Henson. We're excited to see all the new stuff that's coming, and you've already promised to come back on, so we don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, anytime, man. I hopefully see you next year in some of the conferences and stuff like that.
That is the plan, unless the world burns down or does something crazy again. But that's the plan, at least this early on or this late in the year. But I promised a lot of people a lot of things. I hopefully can make up those meetings here in 2022. So of course, the 1% met in person. It's always good to see you over the screen. So thanks again for hopping on today. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. And thanks everyone else for hopping on Crossover Commerce. Again, this is episode 176 of this wonderful podcast I like to call Crossover Commerce, my corner of the internet, where we talk all things Amazon and e-commerce with insider experts, with experts in the space that have seen data and growth in their various different ways, whether it's a service provider, expertise, agencies, whatever that might be. This is where we talk to those people and give the insights of topical, relevant information. We covered a lot today. Again, we'll wait and see. That's kind of the nature of the Amazon world. A lot of people speculate. No one truly knows. A lot of people have thoughts, insights, and can draw those lines. And it's happened in the past. Again, we talk about reviews, how that happened with, how that changed in terms of service, but also, is this going to change the way people launch products? Is this going to change the way people can sell on Amazon ultimately, effectively, and get their products to the top of a search? We don't know. And I know that's where innovation is going to continue to happen. People don't stay stagnant. They always are ebbing and flowing with the waves as they come. It's an industry of lots of different speedboats and not a lot of tankers. So you can make those changes quickly and effectively. That's how you still stay in business and grow as entrepreneurs and as businesses. That being said, this is Friday. Thanks for hopping on. We only had one episode this week, but next week, action-packed with more episodes. We have 3 that week, and I already somehow booked out 6 in that following week. So stay tuned for lots of content coming in. 50 days until Christmas, everyone. That is a banana statistic, just fact in general, for what's coming. So if you're holiday shopping or if you're selling, good luck in the next 50 or so days. And if you liked our episodes, go ahead and rake us up by giving us a thumbs up on social media, or you can go ahead and rate and review us on our favorite podcast destination. I'm Ryan Kramer. This is Crossover Commerce. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode. We'll catch you guys next time. Take care.